From Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome in, everyone, to the Grandpa-N-Pappy Show, Monday edition, as we kick off the week together with Bulldog Willis and some jamming-ass music. That boy can play some songs, I'm telling you.
Badassery Productions.
Yes, sir.
That's his production company.
That's the name of his company. It sure is.
Very fitting.
And it is very, very fitting.
Yeah.
We hope everybody had a great weekend.
Yeah.
It was a good weekend for yours truly, celebrating a birthday and having a little fun.
Turn another year older, did you there,
I did.
compadre amigo?
Some more gray hair or silver hair.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything is really good. Had a chance to spend some time with some very dear friends. And you and the magnificent Miss Helen, y'all missed out on a good time, but I certainly understand it.
I know.
It was a good time.
Like I told you, if I'd have known then what I know now, we'd have been there with bells on.
I heard that.
So.
We have a pretty decent show for you today, folks, because we're going to be talking about something that's a little crazy.
Something that's close to my heart.
Yeah, and we had some suggestions from you, our viewers. A subject on marijuana, the NFL, and our troops.
Most of them go together.
Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. But anyway, some of the things going on in the news today, they have confiscated more false IDs from China that was picked up in Houston over the weekend, which perpetuates the voter fraud. And I was telling Pappy before we went on the air, that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's spooky.
And
it
you know,
is.
they picked up those thousands up there in Chicago, what, Karen, 2 weeks ago, something like that? And now they've done this one in Houston. So man, it's scary, and you just have to ask yourself several times over if this election is going to be fair or fraud.
Well, most of them have a lot of fraud involved in them the past few years.
Yeah, and all of the mail-in ballots that they have found in trash cans and ditches, you know, how do you get an accurate total?
And on tombstones.
And they did say, though, Pappy, that the early voting this year is the largest it's ever been in history.
Really?
Yeah. So far, millions have voted so far.
I've yet to vote, but
Now, we took care of that last Thursday.
I'm going to wait till the lines get a little shorter and then I'm going to slip in there.
I heard that. And, of course, Cowboys will be playing their first game without Dak Prescott tonight against the Arizona Cardinals. And they better be ready. That's all I can say.
Arizona got them a team this year. So
They do.
They've only lost, what, one game?
One game. Yeah.
Yeah, well, go Cowboys.
Kyler Murray, the old Oklahoma quarterback, is having a heck of a year.
Yeah.
So it took him a year to figure out what the NFL was all about. And now that he is just using his arm and his legs to just tear up.
Maybe homeboy Dalton have
maybe
a
we'll talk
good night in the barrel. So.
Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that in our second segment. But let's get to the first segment.
Yeah.
And it was suggested to us. I forgot to put his name on here.
Oh, you stoners,
I
man.
surely did. He just asked a simple question. Should we legalize marijuana? Now, we've heard the pros, we've heard the cons over the years. We've heard all of the things that people are scared or worried about and all of this stuff. And it was interesting to see how some of you reacted and some of the opinions that you gave us.
Yeah.
Such as Crawford Young, who said, you see, if it's illegal and someone gets busted, then the public wants to know why the police aren't winning the war on drugs and puts the responsibility and pressure on the police. However, if you make it legal and then bust people for driving under the influence, that puts the responsibility and pressure on the user. Also, they make way more money making it legal than busting people like they do for alcohol.
Do you know there's a patent on marijuana?
I did not know that.
Do you know who holds it?
I do not know that.
United. No.
George
No,
Soros.
we'd all be stoned if that was the
Which owns
case.
everything else. I don't see why not.
The U.S. government owns it. So
God,
that is
did
a
not
fact.
know that.
That is a fact.
I'll be darned. I just learned something.
You know, Crawdaddy made a good point because, when they first started talking about legalization, that's exactly what they said. It would be handled like alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard of PI, public intoxication.
Yeah.
You get what's called a PS, publicly stoned. If it's I know I've got a personal testimony with CBD oil. I had lung cancer, and it knocked it out in 3 months in a week exactly. So
wow.
So yeah, I'm very pro. Crawford also told us don't forget about the sales tax revenue.
Bingo.
So you get the sales tax plus revenue for busting people while driving. It's win-win for the city. If we were really trying to keep drunk drivers off the road to save lives, there'd be a law making people blow at the bar, not in the car, before being served.
That's kind of poetic.
That's
blow at the bar, not in the car.
Well, I'm not going to make a comment about that. I guess knowing Crawdaddy's probably talking about getting blown at the bar. The technology exists, but people would get frustrated and bars would lose their business and sales. The cities would lose sales tax revenues. That's an interesting take on it, Crawford.
It is. It certainly is. Christopher Heineman said, I don't know if I'm in favor of it or not. I would probably support the use of the weed for those who have cancer or a neurological disease. I've read where smoking a doobie calms the nerves and helps patients who are receiving chemo.
Yep.
My Uncle John passed from cancer last year, and his son kept trying to get him to smoke some, but he never would. Maybe his suffering would have eased if he had.
Well, absolutely. But if he'd have been on CBD oil, it'd have been even better because you get a lot more benefits from THC through the oil than you do smoking a joint.
I heard that also. A
friend told me that.
It's been like a year or so since I read it. There was research done on the benefits of smoking cannabis if you had Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's disease, that it calms your brain and makes your hands, neck, everything that really shakes calm and stops it.
Well, and it is legal in Texas under if you have seizures and can prove it, you can get a legal script for pot. In the state of Texas.
I think that comes from your doctor, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jen Earnhardt said yes to legalizing it. It has way more benefits and uses than just high. Most people who smoke it don't go anywhere afterwards. Ain't it so, man?
I can't even find the door.
Many people who self-medicate with alcohol would switch if weed were legal, thus reducing the number of drunks on the road. Epileptic people would have a medication that is far cheaper than the stuff Big Pharma put out there. That's true. And it'd also be a lot healthier for you. Cancer patients could actually survive radiation. People with ADHD and ADHD would have a healthier alternative to the drugs they take to focus.
I've heard that too.
That's well said, Jen.
Jen, I have read that. I surely have. Mason Randall said it is legal in Colorado, Washington State, and a couple of others. What was termed a great idea now seems to be biting them. The state government and the federal government has started taxing these dispensaries so heavily, their profits have shrunk, forcing them to raise prices. This, of course, drives consumers to go back to the black market to buy their weed. I do not see the harm in smoking a joint occasionally to relax, as long as you don't get behind the wheel of an auto.
I remember the days in Houston, high school.
You actually remember?
A friend told me.
A friend told you? Yeah,
Smoke a big fatty and cruise Westheimer all night. Look at the lights, man.
Oh, psychedelic dude.
And our big buddy Matt Bannister said, I really don't care one way or the other, but I would abstain from voting if I had the choice.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. That way you don't get from anybody
That's
for
right.
not voting for or against.
That's right. Just like the gun laws.
That's true. Mary Ann Bridges says there is too much stigma attached to marijuana.
Yeah.
All of the old wives' tales about making you crazy, driving you to crime, and driving you to hard drugs is still out there, although research has proven otherwise. I believe that it can ease the pain and suffering of people who are in intense pain or may be suffering from cancer.
Yeah.
Look at the CBD oil that you
Yep.
were talking about.
Yep.
That is flooding the market. It is made from the byproduct of the cannabis plant. I use CBD oil to sleep at night, and it works great for me with no after hangover of any type. I've never smoked marijuana, but I don't see it being all that bad.
There was an argument raised one time that any time you put any foreign material in your lungs, that it's bad for you. And that's been a question of mine. I mean, if you smoke cigarettes, you get cancer.
Yeah, if you're around asbestos.
Yeah. You smoke,
Lead.
If you vape, you stand a chance of getting polyps.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it hard to believe that a chronic weed smoker doesn't have some sort of a complication as a result, because that's unfiltered smoke. I heard.
Well, I don't know what the answer is, and I know they're still doing research on it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the government will tell us when they have completed their 10-year study if they can, if they can straighten up their scientists who are out there testing all this stuff.
If they could find him.
To get him to sign off on it, then maybe it'll come up for a vote.
They've been studying the effects of marijuana
That's funny.
since the 30s.
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie Reefer Madness?
The Reeper Madness.
Have you ever seen that?
I have.
It's kind of a strange movie. I had to get stoned to watch it myself. But
Yeah. Robert Mitchum was one of the early ones
yeah, he was.
that smoked marijuana constantly.
And I remember in the 70s, Leotis Johnson in Dallas. And this is right after they came out. If you get caught with any pot, it's mandatory life imprisonment. Leotis Johnson got caught in downtown Dallas trying to sell a joint.
Yeah.
And they busted his ass. He went to jail.
Wow.
He served I stand to be corrected, it seems like it's 40 some odd years he got out. And he went back in on some kind of infraction for a couple of 2 or 3 years or so. Got back out and then died.
Yeah.
Took his pot away from him. Died of a broken heart, I bet. Daryl Riddle said yes because I like it. And Sean Robert Allgood, our buddy out in San Francisco, says it definitely needs to be legal. It'll help people with cancer. Mm-hmm. Well, it is out there, Sean.
Yeah. Pretty thick from what I understand.
I bet he knows that, though.
Sean, how are you doing? I really appreciate the fact that you came up and visited us in our studios when you were in Texas.
All the way from California.
Mm-hmm. Glad you made it home safe, and glad you're still sending in your opinions to us.
Yeah.
Alice Harvey agreed, saying, I know it helps cancer patients. Just tax it and legalize it.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Robert Hathaway said, look, if a person wants to light up a joint in the comfort of their own home, no children there, and no plans to hop in the car, I see no problem with it. Can smoking a marijuana joint be as bad as spending 2 or 3 hours at a bar and getting blitzed?
Good question.
Yep. People just need to get over.
I've never smoked a marijuana cigarette, so I can't compare the two, but they've got some kind of, comparison there.
Well, I have, but I didn't inhale.
Yeah, I didn't either. Thank you, Bill.
Can smoking and marijuana 2 or 3 hours at a bar get blitzed? People just need to get over their individual fears and concerns about weed and just let people do their own thing unless they're interfering with other people's lives.
Well, that's a very good way to look at it, Robert. I mean, as long as you're not messing with anybody. I mean, like I say, and I'm not trying to be prudish here, I've never smoked or gotten high on marijuana. I never have. Never felt the urge to do it, even though, good Lord, you and I were around all this stuff when we were in radio in the 70s and 80s, early 90s. It was everywhere.
I've been around it pretty much my entire life. I had 2 older brothers.
But I never did. I never did, so I don't know what the effect it will have on your mind. you can go into a bar and people have been sitting there drinking and they get obnoxious. They, and they start getting on your mind or on your nerves. My whole thing, what I was just saying is, I don't know if you do the same thing when you're high on pot.
No,
I don't know.
Not even. Even with now they have such a strong strain and medicinal quality pot that all you want to do is couch potato it, is sit there and think, you won't even say it. You think, well.
You count down all the sheep.
Now, if you're smoking it recreationally, which in my experience,
yeah,
I don't like the heavy stuff, It's just.
And finally today, Jason Terry said yes. It's a great all-natural medicine for many ailments.
That's right, son.
It also is a plant. Why is a plant illegal? Big pharma. That's why.
Yeah, it's all about money.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying what, $14-16 million for cancer-related equipment.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's going to be shut down. Yeah. It's all about the dollar.
Yeah, and one thing I really don't understand, and I'm being stupid here. It's the fact that golly, for as long as I can remember, they've been raising money for the American Cancer Society.
Yeah.
Where does all this money go? And where are the results of the testing and things like this and research?
That's it. I mean, there's so many questions that are raised, and it's just like anything else, when you have this fund, that fund, this fund, that fund. What percentage of that money goes to the actual treatment of cancer?
Correct. Yeah.
I'd be afraid to find out.
And, I still go back to when President Trump decided to legalize communication with Cuba again.
Yeah.
And Cuba is well not that. I mean, they grow cigars. I mean, down there,
yeah.
Cuban tobacco is in high demand all over the world, but they don't have lung cancer. They have a cure, or at least the report I was seeing was that they have a cure for lung cancer, and they were willing to share it with the United States, but the USDA said, or not the USDA, whoever handles the medication, said no, it would take at least 10 years of testing before it could ever hit the market.
Of course.
So here we're sitting here, we have folks every day,
of course,
that are suffering from cancer.
Yeah.
And there may be a cure for it, and we're
there
sitting
is.
on it.
There is.
And that's what blows my mind.
Because I'm living proof that there is. And Jason can testify to that, my son.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 months and a week.
I'll be darned.
Yes, sir.
I'll just be darned.
Yes, sir.
Well, we thank you for all of your opinions on it. I know there are lots of opinions that you folks have out there about marijuana, and it's should it be legal or not legal. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Yeah, we value your opinion and comments.
We really do, and there was some good ones today.
Oh, yeah.
Some that was worth watching.
Yes, sir.
As we told you, we started the show off talking about the Cowboys playing tonight against the Arizona Cardinals. Saw a report the other day about the viewership of the NFL being down so much.
Yeah.
And then we got this question that was asked by Jim Freeman. He just wants to know, are you watching the NFL games?
I watched the game last night.
I think Karen and I have seen one, and it was just because we were setting up the bar having a drink.
Yeah, I watched the Rams and...
Go ahead, Karen.
Well, I haven't been watching on our TV because I don't want to boost the ratings from it going from our TV.
Yeah.
So if we watch it, it's from a restaurant or or from a bar that it just happens to be on. But I love my Dallas Cowboys, and I miss watching them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yes, we watch it when we're somewhere where they have it on. Let the restaurant boost the ratings.
Well, that's all. That's all they have on their television. Just like last week,
right.
Yeah.
We walked in the field office, and every what do they have? 8 or 9 TVs in there. Every damn TV in there had a Dallas game on.
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
Right.
some
I
of
love
you,
my Dallas Cowboys.
yeah, I think we all do.
I tolerate them.
yeah. But some of you had some interesting things to say. Ken Mason said, "Nope, no NFL for me."
Brandon Barr says, all I'm getting is a blank page, no picture, no nothing.
Blank page.
Anyhow, I've quit watching all sports.
That's classic.
Blank page.
Maybe he's been smoking the marijuana. What do you think?
You ought to try to turn it on the TV first, Brandon.
Oh, Lord. Jerry Williamson said, "Nope, can't stand them forcing their social justice platform down my throat.
Yeah.
I just want to watch football to have a break from COVID, politics, and the like. If you watch, that's fine. Your decision. But I usually go for a run."
Attaboy, Jerry.
Good job.
Yeah, Ron Mason said, hell no, I don't watch.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel?
If you force me to accept your ideas when you're making millions of dollars, I won't watch. You think you were treated unfairly, then give those millions to whoever you're supporting and quit crying about inequality.
I like that last line.
Yeah. And that's pretty much me. I mean, you know, the BLM anthem and the kneeling or the turning around and turning your ass to the national anthem, walking in, you know, that kills me, that kind of stuff.
Got a story to share with you. I shared with you before we started our taping Saturday night. I told you when we had a feature on restaurants about the one Karen and I like to go to, which is called Texas over in Richardson. So a bunch of us went over there and we were enjoying a wonderful meal, great atmosphere, the whole 9 yards. And there was an African-American entertainer blowing sax over there, and this guy was amazingly good.
Love me some saxophone.
So he gets up on the stairs. There's a huge American flag inside of Texas. And he gets up on the stairs and he starts playing the national anthem. And I'm telling you, this place is packed. Everybody stopped eating, stood up, put their hand on their hearts, and started singing the national anthem.
But one table.
Except for one table.
The kids dressed in black. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I was very, very impressed, especially that little 3-year-old boy. I'll never get that image out of my head. He looks like he was about 3 years old. But he was staring up at that flag, you know, almost straight up. And he had his hand over his heart and was patting his heart and singing.
Enough to bring a tear to a grown man's eye.
I tell you what, it really got to me. I wanted to go find his mom and dad and hug them.
Yeah.
That's teaching your kids right.
Yeah. Raising that baby right.
Let's see here. Stephen Newman said, hell no, I'm not watching it. And Alice Harvey agreed, saying, nope, she is not either.
This next one cracks me up. Big Jerry Blum, our bud up at the field office, said yes, because it's the only damn thing on TV at Applebee's. That's the only reason Jerry watches.
Big Jerry. Charlie George says no, and I haven't for a long time, and I will not as long as they disrespect our great country and its real heroes.
That's a fact. Barry Leventhal said, when athletes decide if they are on one side or the other, I will not watch. Or until athletes decide which side they're on. Don't push your agenda down my throat when you're making more than most Americans do in a lifetime.
Bingo.
You talk about inequality, there it is. Where can you go and make that kind of money other than the United States of America?
Very well said.
Absolutely, Barry. Thanks for sending that in.
That is a good observation.
Yep.
Jamie Ward said she still doesn't watch, but Kathy Pilati Wilson said, when you're totally immobile, which she is, then yes, I'm watching the NFL and NASCAR too.
By God.
Kathy get well too.
Yeah.
She had a major operation after shattering her ankle.
Yep. You're in our good thoughts and prayers there, kiddo. So hang in there. Sherry Briggs Cone said, nope, not anymore. So sad because I've always liked football, but no more. And Chris Esser agreed by saying no. And the only reason I chuckled was because it just hit me in the head. 49ers in L.A. was playing last night.
Yeah.
Did you hear all this crowd raising hell every time something good would happen? Then it shows an overhead shot of the stadium, and all you got in both end zones is cardboard people. I didn't know they could scream so loud.
I didn't either. I heard one of them got hit in the head the other day at the baseball game and died of COVID, you know. So.
Damn
God,
Trump.
boy, those images are really catching
Lordy.
hell.
Yep.
Maria Aldridge wound up the whole conversation by saying, what if all these athletes had to work for minimum wage and not be paid millions they earn each year? Boy, wouldn't that be something? And what if the owner said, hey, you either go out there and respect our flag and country or you're fired?
You know,
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it sure would. At one time, Jerry Jones,
Yeah.
had made that statement, but he's
He did.
kind of moonwalking on it now.
Well, the Cowboys are one of the only teams that do stand up for the national anthem with their hands on their hearts.
Yep.
But they before the game, if they want to kneel or whatever during that as solidarity, he hadn't got a problem with it. But anyway, that's the latest on the NFL.
He's been out at the 50-yard line kneeling with them. So. I don't know.
And finally, today we're going to go over a question that Ryan Blassingame asked, and he said, "Should we bring our troops home?"
Yeah.
Paul Winslow said it's a matter of decision. Look, we've been at war on terrorism for over 20 years now. Hundreds of our young people have lost their lives, and people in the Middle East are still fighting with one another.
Yeah.
When is enough enough? We should just tighten our borders and allow no one from those areas into our country.
Bingo.
We should strengthen our borders and just say no.
You know, and I agree with you, Paul.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, to hell with building a fence down the Mexican line. Build it around the whole damn nation.
Yeah, just stop immigration altogether for a while.
That's right. Sean Robert Allgood said, yes, definitely bring the troops home. And Darrell Riddle says, hell yes, and bring them home.
Absolutely. Crawford Young said, I don't know the details to say yes or no, but I would like to see them come home if their work is done. And Alice Harvey agreed, saying bring them all home.
You know, the thing about it is, Crawdaddy, the work could be done in the blink of an eye if they wanted it to be.
That's it. They could.
Paula West said, my son is a U.S. Marine and has been deployed to Iraq for the last 6 months. I want him home with us and his family because the military has been engaged in this conflict for way too long. Maybe if the president made more decisions about taking out more of their leaders, this thing would get over with quickly.
Well, I will say, Paula, one thing. President does not hesitate on taking out them leaders if he knows where they're at.
You gotta find them.
We've seen a couple of examples of that in the last 2 months.
You gotta find those turban-wearing little rascals first.
Yeah, you
then
do.
Take them out.
Yeah, you do. And finally, the gentleman that asked the question, Ryan Blassingame, said, look, I've had 2 nephews be deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, and they say it is a hopeless situation.
Yeah.
The people over there will not stand up for their freedom, but they rely on the Americans to do the freeing for them. If they are not willing to stand up and fight for their freedom, we should not send our young people over there to get killed or wounded for them because they don't appreciate it. The world can't rely on America to defend their freedom all the time, and that's just my take on it.
Well said, Ryan. You know, and he's got a good point.
He has a great point.
If they'd stand up and fight for their own freedom, maybe that would keep their mind off of getting on that big bird and flying over here and screwing with us. You know?
And Ryan, thank you to your 2 nephews for their service,
Yeah.
and for all of you folks who have children that are in the military. God bless you, and God bless them.
Yep.
And bring them home safe.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at some of the viewer comments that we have gotten in. Our big buddy Al Baker, we
Big
hadn't
Al
heard from in a
Baker.
while,
Yeah.
wrote in on our show about pet peeves by saying his biggest pet peeve is when people don't give a damn about other people. I live in the country where at least people care for one another. I swear if someone would do my neighbors harm, there would be hell to pay.
Yeah.
Maybe we should take that avenue when looking at the fools who are trying to wreak havoc in our country.
Well said, Al.
Big Al.
I agree.
He just has a way of saying things, you know.
Lead the way. I'll follow up with the pew pew. Paul Mason said, "Damn, boys. I appreciate you guys just talking about current things that affect us all. I especially like the opinions of your viewers who send in their thoughts to your show. Keep it up. You never know if those opinions will sway someone's outlook on things."
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you, Paul.
yeah, thank you, sir.
That's
We
nice.
appreciate you and glad you're aboard with us.
Jonathan246 said on Twitter that we need to keep pounding the fact that people need to vote to save our democracy. I am so pissed with the way things are going with such a short time left to go.
Ain't it a fact? Yep. Mary Allred said on Instagram that our show on Pelosi forming a commission to oust out our president was spot on. But I don't think she's after him, but setting up her stoolie to take Biden's place if he is elected. These are scary times, boys, and I agree with you, Mary.
Mary, and we've Pappy and I have touched on that on a couple of programs. We think the same thing.
Yeah, but it also puts Nancy Pelosi third in line.
That's what scares the hell out of me. If you have a comment or a question or a suggestion for
Or even a
a
complaint.
program segment, it's real easy like these folks did.
Yeah.
There's a couple of ways you could do that. You can send it in to our email address, which is Grandpa-N-Pappy
Yep.
at gmail.com,
By God.
or
Or you can hit us up directly on our show website, which can be found at www.grandpa-and-pappy.com. That's grandpa, the letter N-Pappy.com. While you're
and
there,
you could,
what do they need to do?
look at there. Got the big red button that
I
appears.
like that button.
Push on that button. It'll ask you to give them a password only you know.
Yeah.
It takes you right into our YouTube page. You can subscribe, and there's all kinds of ways that you can give us
Oh, yeah.
your opinions, information, and stuff like
Plus,
that.
you can go directly to our Facebook page
Yes, you can.
from our website or Instagram or what are all the ways, all the buttons. I can't keep up with them anymore. But
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
We're even thinking about extending a wax string and tin cans out to whoever needs them so they can stay in touch. So
You can look at the Grandpa-N-Pappy Facebook group, and when you go on there, you can see the questions we're asking and a lot of the comments and opinions that we read on this show. You can read on that before we even go to tape.
for 6 more days, it'll be the questions he's asking. So I'll get out and be able to chase my tail around and carry on here in about a week. So look out, Facebook.
Oh, my God.
Also, show T-shirts. We've still got a few left. $20. Make you holler. $4.95 shipping unless we're capable of handing them to you or decide to do our good deed for the day and deliver them. So
There you go.
might even toss in a couple of goodies, a little somethings to go with it if you want to purchase one. We still got mediums
never
through
know.
extra large. That's right.
You just never know.
Just never know. It's the kind of guys we are. So, but hit me
true.
up in Messenger or even on our show page, and regardless, and then we can go to private message and go from there. So.
One quick note, we're going to be taking a little fall break here in the next days or so to recoup, refresh, and get the brains back working.
Yep.
But anyway, we want to invite you to join us back on Wednesday for another edition of the Grandpa-N-Pappy Show.
I could use this break too. Excuse me for interrupting. But thank you for whoever started all the damn fires in Colorado, because you just screwed up the vacation of mine and Helen's life.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it started the fires in California. That's where they started.
Well, I think some dumb butt probably did it intentionally in Colorado. Anyway.
Wow, man, is this the match? Whoa.
You're supposed to eat them roaches, man, not thump them out the window.
Ain't it so?
But, it's completely shut Rocky Mountain National Park down, Estes Park, Loveland, and other places. Fort Collins are due or expected to shut down here in the next day or two, depending on which way the wind blows. So.
Yep. We hope you'll join us back on Wednesday
Yes,
for
we
another edition of Grandpa-N-Pappy.
Yep.
As usual, we tell you to hug your kids and let them know that you love
Tell
them.
them, by God, the Grandpa-N-Pappy Show loves them too. How about that?
Absolutely. And until Wednesday, Be safe, everybody.
Yeah.
God bless, and we'll talk to you then.
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.